Activists in New York and other city watchdogs are planning a press conference in the city today, calling on Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance to resign. Vance's office is being accused of a dangerous pattern of leniency when it comes to prosecuting high-profile sexual assault cases in the city, including recent allegations against Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein. Organizers of today's event are also asking for the DA's office to reopen an investigation into former Columbia University obstetrician Robert Hadden. Now, the allegations against Hadden came under renewed scrutiny last week when the wife of Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang publicly accused the former doctor of sexually assaulting her. CBS News investigative reporter Graham Cates has been following this story for a while and joins me now. So there are sort of multiple aspects to this story. But let us start with what is happening today. Who are these activists? What are they demanding today?
These are a group of women who are actually suing Columbia University for how it handled the case. But they've been criticizing Cyrus Vance's prosecution of Robert Hadden for years now. When we last checked in on this group that included 17 women who were part of this lawsuit against Columbia, that number is now up to 47. And here's the thing. This doctor ultimately had a plea deal that only included 2 women in the case. And that's at the core of what they're angry about.
So this is a case that's been going on for a while now. But then just last week, Andrew Yang's wife, Evelyn, came forward and said that she was one of the people who had been sexually assaulted. And it was a really compelling interview. And it sort of shone a light back on this case.
Right. She's only the second woman to actually come out publicly, say, here's my name, and this is what I experienced with the doctor. What was really, really astounding about that interview was just how closely the details matched other people that I've spoken with and other allegations in the case.
Wow.
And I mean, it's just such a consistent behavior, and it's with a doctor who is treating pregnant women and then women right after they gave birth at such a vulnerable time.
Yeah, it really is. So sort of that's one issue, right? But then Cyrus Vance's his office has been facing criticism about the way they handle high or sexual assault cases with high level. What's the phrase that I'm looking for?
Powerful.
Sort of powerful men, right? And we're talking about Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein. So tell me about the criticism that office has been receiving.
Now, in 2015, Cyrus Vance received what the New York Police Department considered to be a credible allegation of sexual assault against Harvey Weinstein, and his office decided not to prosecute that case. Of course, now Harvey Weinstein's being charged, but that's after that, his whole kind of life broke out into the public eye. And then what happened with Epstein was he was being charged by the office, and the prosecutor associated with Cyrus Vance's office said, we'd like him to be assigned the lowest level sex offender status. In New York State, you can be listed in the registry, but not in a way that you're found publicly. There's like this registry that like officials can access.
Wow.
But if I'm searching you don't show up on it. And that was what they asked for Epstein to be listed as. And the judge in that case said, no way. And in fact, kind of expressed, I can't believe I'm being asked this.
Right.
Here's the thing. That's actually the sex offender level this doctor has. That was part of the plea deal. He never served a day in prison. And at the time, the prosecutor's office knew of what they considered to be 19 possible victims. And of course, now we're talking 47. And not only did he not spend a day in prison, but he, to this day, is this very low-level sex offender where if I go online and I search his name, it doesn't show up.
You won't find his name. Oh,
right.
My gosh, that's unbelievable. And you said now we have 47 women who are saying that they were victims. Okay, so that's 2 legs to this sort of 3-legged stool. There's a third leg, right? And it has to do with donations to Vance's office that are a little suspicious.
Right, and this has come up in every single case. And the doctor's case, the day of the most consequential filing in the case, and this, what would happen was he was charged for 6 of the alleged victims, and prosecutors intended to introduce evidence from the other 13 that they knew about. And his lawyer introduced this filing. It was this massive, like 400-page document. I spoke to her about it years after the fact. She remembered it in detail because she worked so hard on it. And they wanted to oppose the other people's evidence. And that day, her office made a donation to Vance's office, a small one, only $250. And then after the case was dropped, her and her colleagues made another $3,000 in donations. Now, this might seem like a drop in the pot, but there is a pattern here. In both Weinstein's case and Epstein's cases, they had attorneys who made donations to Vance's office. There is one thing, though. Back then, DA's office elections didn't really receive a lot of kind of public scrutiny. There wasn't a lot of attention paid to them. And I've been told, back then, the only people who really donated to DA's offices were lawyers, whether it was because they were the only ones paying attention to what a DA's policy were, and so that's why they cared about it, or because they were trying to get access. I mean, that's kind of what advocates would argue about.
Right.
But now things are different when it comes to a district attorney's race because there's so much scrutiny being paid to how they're handling cases like this.
Have we heard from Vance or his office?
Yeah, I checked in with them. Obviously, they didn't say he's about to resign. What they did say is that they stand by the way their sex crime unit handles cases. And they said that they feel strongly for the women in this case, and they think that they handled this case as best as they could. They said, we made sure that he lost his medical license. We made sure that he's registered as a sex offender.
Okay. I know you're going to continue to cover this story. You've done a great job already. Thank you so much for bringing us up to date.
Thank you.